used to step out of his house and dispose of the body in this jungle area. Then they have also have some call detail records, and they'll be finding out who all was he in touch with. All those items that he had ordered from shopping portals and food that he had ordered during the period when Shraddha's body remained in the refrigerator, those details will also be checked from the online portals, and police will establish what all did happen during that period of 18 days when this man used to step out every night and dispose of 2 to 3 parts of the body every night in this jungle area. So all these details are yet to be established because the investigation has just begun. It was just yesterday that his 5 days remand was taken, and over the next 5 days he will be questioned on various lines. Police are trying to know motive, as he has earlier mentioned that the motive was only frequent fights between him and Shraddha, because she had been asking him to get married, and he was very active on dating sites, which also had kind of Shraddha was not happy about this fact. So all these are the facts which police will be questioning him upon. They are yet to have a detailed line of sequence of events, and that is what is the first priority. But right now the body parts are being searched for. So far some bones have been recovered, and they will be sent for further forensic examination and eventually for DNA profiling.
Is there the fear, Anvit, right now that the heavy media presence over there might possibly tamper with evidence that might be on the ground right now?
See, Toya, as of now, no one knows, not even the police, where all these body parts are, because the entire jungle area is not the crime scene. So only some places where he had thrown body parts, only there police will be taking him. And because this entire place is not the crime scene, so there's no point of tampering the evidences. But since even then, taking precautions, police have not allowed to go media beyond the point. As you can see, this entire jungle area, and this beyond this wall, as you can see that beyond this wall they are not allowing anyone to go further. So police are also taking all due precautions that no evidences are tampered, and he has been taken deep into this jungle area to recover the body part that he had disposed of.
Okay.
We don't have his visuals because he has been taken inside, and this is a dense jungle area near Chhatarpur, and this man stayed less than a kilometer away from here in a rented house. One important aspect to the crime is that police they have also summoned the landlord, because they want to know whether or not this man, when he rented this house, had shared the information that he will be staying here with a woman named Shraddha Vikas Walkar. Because police are trying to know that is there a possibility that this man had completely hidden Shraddha's presence in that house from any local residents and from the landlord as well. They will also try to find out whether the agreement was on the name of Shraddha or was on the name of Aaftab, whether he had mentioned that they'll be living here as a couple, or her presence was completely hidden, so that whenever he murders her, no one comes to know that there was a woman living here who has suddenly gone missing. Also, one important point, that he had earlier they had shifted here in April, and it was in less than 1 month that this murder took place. So police will also question him, trying to find out that whether he had planned in advance to move to Delhi, and that is the reason why he moved to Delhi, because they had earlier from Mumbai, they had lived in Mumbai when Shraddha took permission from her parents to live with this man in live-in relationship, and they did not agree. Shraddha moved to Mumbai because she had been working there with this man, even though she belongs to Palghar in Maharashtra. And then from Mumbai they had gone to Himachal and to some other areas, and then eventually ended up in Delhi in April this year. After less than 1 month, this murder takes place, and so police would want to know whether he was planning in advance. He had bought a saw, so what was it a part of his planning that he had bought a saw and then a refrigerator to stash this body? So these are the line of questioning which this man will be subjected to. But the latest developments so far are that this person has been brought here to the jungle area, and he is being taken to all those places which he has confessed to have disposed the body into.
Okay, Anvit, I want to ask you, a little while earlier you told our audiences that legally speaking, just the statement of Aaftab is not enough. It's important for police to pick up details to actually confirm that this happened. Could you explain to our audiences why just his confession would not be admissible in court as enough proof?
Yes, see, his confession alone will not be because a confession of a criminal in police custody is not admissible in court. Police's challenge is to corroborate that scientific evidence with his statement, and that is why establishing sequence of events is very important, because whatever he has confessed, now they will be finding scientific evidence to each of these incidents that he has stated in his detailed confession. Whenever he has said that he had went out to dispose of the body, CCTV footages of that time will be checked. When he has said he had ordered food, his his phone that has been confiscated, the apps of food ordering apps will be checked. Whether he is stating truth or he is lying and misleading police once again. So these are the facts that will be looked into. Other than that, his call records have been taken. It will be checked who all was he in touch with during that period. Further, police are also trying to know the women who had visited him during this particular time when he was dating other women while Shraddha's body remained in the refrigerator. So that also, those women will also eventually be summoned, and they'll also be called for questioning to find out when they entered the house, what did the house look like, whether there was a refrigerator, did they smell anything, did they what was the Aaftab's behavior during that time. So all these details will be looked at. In fact, Aaftab might also be they might also use a psychiatrist or a counselor to talk to him, so that they can know the psyche of this man. Because in the way brutal murder has taken place and the way he has chopped off these bodies, it will also be found that what was the motive. Police suspect that the motive alone could not be that this woman had been pestering this man for marriage, and the behavior that has come to fore in investigation, that he had been sleeping with other women while the body remains was still in the refrigerator. This shows something beyond just a fit of rage incident.
Okay. Anvit, could you also walk us through the developments that have taken place since the weekend? So, walk us through, since her father went to the police first in Maharashtra and contacted them. Could you tell us what's taken place since then?
See, today, if we talk about the timeline, it was in 2018 that first time this Shraddha and Aaftab, they worked together in Malad at a call center, and there they befriended each other. In 2019, this woman expresses to her family for the first time that she wants to be in a live-in with this man, because the families had religious differences. The father and mother, they opposed this relationship and her living in a live-in relationship with this man. And after that, Shraddha, and this is mentioned in the FIR that the complaint has been given by her father, that Shraddha severs all ties with the family and says that she'll be going in to live with this man only. Then she moves to Mumbai, and then they elope probably to Himachal and then to some other states, and then eventually come back to Delhi. In September, one of Shraddha's friends tells Shraddha's brother that he could not contact Shraddha, and it's been more than 2 months that she has stayed out of touch. When this complaint goes to father goes to the police station in Vasai and files a missing complaint about her daughter. Maharashtra police then contacts Delhi police, because the last location of this woman was in Delhi. Then this comes to Delhi police, and Delhi police starts investigation. Within 2 days, Delhi police manages to track down Aaftab. He's detained, he's questioned, and his chilling revelations come to fore. He confesses to have killed this woman by strangulation. When they ask him that where the body is, then this man tells them he has chopped off the body into 35 odd pieces and has spread it across the jungle, across the street where he used to stay with this woman. And that is how the police, comes to this conclusion that this woman has been killed. But again, this is only the confession of this man. Police need some scientific evidences. Some parts of the body, some bones have been recovered, but they are yet to be established whether they are human remains. Okay. Once confirmed, they will be sent for DNA profiling, because father's sample have already been taken. But right now, this is the scene of the area where the body parts had been disposed of. You can see huge number of policemen are here, and the media contingent that has followed the developments. And this is the wall that police has kept the media away from entering, because this man Aaftab has been taken inside to recover these body parts, because the head has not yet been recovered. All those body parts have been recovered belong to the torso and below area, and they have also been decomposed beyond recognition, because it's been more than 6 months that this murder took place.
Okay, Anvit, very quickly, I just want to tell our audiences the questions that you've said still need to be answered. Then I want to come back to you. You've said, firstly, when it comes to the body parts that have already been collected by the police, they're looking to understand if these are even human body parts. Then the second question they're looking obviously to answer with the help of forensic laboratories is whether or not these are Shraddha's body parts. And then the third part, as you said, is they're then going to try to piece together the timeline. Anvit, I want to understand from you, what have your sources within the police told you? When the police heard Aaftab's version of events, what are the holes that they saw? Are there any questions that to the police don't seem answered in Aaftab's version of what took place?
See, police are also taking his confession as not something very, a truthful confession, because this man has gone to a level of, hiding the body, chopping it into pieces. So police does not easily, agree to what he has confessed to, and that is why you can see the entire police team is here to corroborate his confession with reality, because they have not been able to find the body parts as he had told them that he has disposed of. Head has not yet been found. It is very critical to find the head for the identification of the body, because that will alone confirm that this woman has been killed. Like you rightly mentioned, first the body parts have been recovered. Some body parts have been recovered. Then these will be taken to identify that whether these are human remains, and only after that it will be sent for forensic examination and DNA profiling. That will certain that this man has killed Shraddha, because so far the FIR that has been registered is a missing complaint that has been converted into a kidnapping FIR. So far murder FIR has not been registered because it is only based on his confession. Police will certainly add these sections of murder IPC 302, but so far it's only a 365 IPC FIR which states kidnapping, that this woman has gone missing. Police needs to find some evidence, some body parts to confirm that it is Shraddha who has died and who has been killed technically, to put it in the police files.
Okay. I also believe right now, Anvit, that we have to go into a short break. Please stay with us on the ground right now. We're going to go into a short break. As you can see, Shraddha's father has put forward the demand that Aaftab, her partner, who it seems has murdered her, be given the death penalty. We're going to see you in just a few minutes. We're going to continue to take a look at this story.
गुजरात की जनता फैसला लेती है। अब तक जो वादे किए गए इसका योग बताए तो गुजरात का बजट 2,42,000 करोड़ है और वादे हो गए हैं 3,52,000 करोड़ के। नई इनकम कुछ नहीं करनी है, पुराना बजट एज इट इज, और 3,52,000 करोड़ लाना है। कोई बता दे जरा कैसे लाएंगे, इसका तो हिसाब दे। ये गुजरात की जनता समझती है। और कुछ वादे तो इतने हास्यास्पद है, हम प्राथमिक शिक्षा को फ्री करेंगे। हमारे यहाँ 1960 से प्राथमिक शिक्षा फ्री है, अब क्या फ्री करोगे भाई तुम? फ्री है। उनको ये भी मालूम नहीं यहाँ क्या चल रहा है, स्वाभाविक है यहाँ के नहीं है तो, परंतु थोड़ा स्टडी तो करना चाहिए।
जब फ्रीबीज की बात होती है तो केंद्रीय सरकार भी तो फ्रीबीज दे रही है। कहीं ऐसा जैसे कि फ्री राशन दे रहे हैं आप, उसकी आपकी व्यवस्था बनी हुई है, फ्री सिलेंडर आप भी दे रहे हैं, तो इसको आप कैसे देखते हैं? क्या ये फ्रीबीज नहीं?
देखिए, दो चीजों में तत्वतः फर्क है। जैसे भारत सरकार की सो कॉल्ड फ्रीबीज, किसी को घर देना, किसी को गैस का कनेक्शन देना, किसी के घर में लाइट पहुंचाना, किसी को आयुष्मान भारत का कार्ड देना, और अब अंत में आपने जो कहा कोरोना के बाद उनको फ्री राशन देना, किसी को बिजली देना, ये रेवड़िये बांटना नहीं है, मगर बिजली का बिल न देना रेवड़िये बांटना है। किसी को घर देना मैं नहीं मानता रेवड़ी बांटना है, ये इसके जीवन स्तर को उठाने का प्रयास है। जो आजादी के 70 साल तक कांग्रेस ने 60 साल तक शासन किया वो नहीं कर पाए, वो हम करें। मगर फिर घर का टैक्स हम माफ नहीं करते, इसका हम शौचालय बना देते हैं, क्योंकि अधिकार है 75 साल के बाद एक महिला का कि घर में शौचालय हो, उसको एम्ब्रेसमेंट ना हो सुबह, मगर हम शौचालय का रिपेयरिंग नहीं कर देते। और जहां तक मुफ्त में अनाज देने की बात है, आप सभी को मालूम है, पूरा देश जानता है, पूरी दुनिया जानती है कि कोरोना के बाद एक लिंगरिंग फेज में स्लो डाउन रहा है, जिसकी सबसे बुरी असर किसी पर पड़ी है तो देश के गरीबों पर पड़ी है। सोसाइटी का कोई भी सेगमेंट कुदरती आपत्ति के कारण, महामारी के कारण अगर किसी भी तरह से प्रभावित होता है तो शासन की जिम्मेदारी है, नैतिक जिम्मेदारी है इसको मदद करना। जैसे बाढ़ आती है, सूखा आता है, साइक्लोन आता है, तो हम मदद करते, वो फ्रीबीज नहीं है, उसका सपोर्ट है। तो ये दोनों को मिक्सअप नहीं करना चाहिए। वोट के लिए
All right, we are able to share some more details with you on the investigation, the Shraddha investigation that's going on as we speak in the Mehrauli forest. Remember, a girl murdered by her partner in May, her body then chopped into 35 pieces over the course of 18 days and dispersed around the Mehrauli forest. Right now, as we speak, her alleged murderer, her partner Aaftab, is with police in the forest itself. They are identifying where the body parts were left, and I believe the breaking is that 10 human remain pieces have been found so far. These pieces have been picked up by forensics experts. They've been sent for examination. After that, they'll be sent to match with the sample of Shraddha's father. Let's go over to my colleague Anvit right now for more details. Anvit, what is not immediately clear is that were these body parts found in the investigation yesterday or today? Have these been found in the last few minutes?
See, these 10 body parts that we're breaking now were recovered in the past 2 days. Saturday it was that this man had been arrested by the police, and he had previously also been brought to this jungle area for recovery of the body parts. Police are saying, telling CNN News 18 that 10 odd parts have been recovered. These are the same parts that we earlier mentioned, that some human remains have been recovered, but the number of these parts that have been recovered is roughly around 10 to 12. These body parts have been recovered. They will now be sent for forensic examination and DNA profiling, but so far only 10 parts have been recovered out of the 35 parts that this body was chopped into. So the big challenge lies ahead of the police in this entire jungle area, because this jungle area spans to more than 500 to 1 kilometer of area, and police teams, as you can see, are already here. They have been looking for the body parts that he had disposed of. Police are saying, senior officials we spoke to just a few minutes ago, they told us that they had managed to recover so far 10 pieces of human remains, and out of 35. All these parts will be sent for forensic examination and DNA profiling only after ascertaining that these are human remains. These are the details that the latest we are getting from the Delhi police in this case.
Okay, Anvit, I do want to ask you now, you've said, as you've just told us, that 10 odd human remains have been recovered so far, but just from a data point of view, can you share with our audiences, if there were 35 parts, what state can we expect them to be in right now? We know that this incident took place in May. Our colleague Anshul was telling us that each piece was probably only 2 inches, 3 inches in size. So what are the police's expectations right now?
See, first coming to the chopping of the body is what we are getting from senior officials in Delhi police. Body parts had been chopped in a manner that they are beyond recognition. Head has not been recovered yet. Body parts were cut from here, mostly from the joints, because this man was a chef previously and he had some knowledge on where on to cut the body parts so that there's the least of bleeding. They had been cut from joints, torso has been cut, the head had been separated from the body, and then mostly the body parts had been cut from joint, and in 35 pieces this body was cut. So maybe not in 1 or 2 inches, but even then small pieces of body that he had spread across in this large area of that spreads across to 500 meters to 1 kilometer. So it will be a tough task for the police to find all these body parts, because it's been more than 6 months and these parts have already decomposed beyond recognition. So that will be a larger challenge. And as I said previously, that since 10 body parts have been recovered out of 35, these have been sent to forensic labs, and first the police's job is to identify that these are human remains, and then DNA profiling will be done to connect these body parts, to relate them with the sample of Shraddha's father that has already been taken, so that it can be confirmed that these body parts are of Shraddha, and then in the police files finally she can be said to be someone who has been murdered, because so far the FIR that has been registered only is of kidnapping.
And Anvit, the aspect we haven't spoken about till now is one that we've asked about: clothing and jewelry, recognizable jewelry. Are those both details that Aaftab had already removed before he proceeded to decompose and distribute the body across the entire forest?
See, as more and more confession will come, he will, tell police that what did he do with the clothes that Shraddha was wearing that night. Because this woman was living with him, there would be, her clothes in the room as well and her belongings. So he must have disposed of the belongings too. Once the body parts are recovered, they will find out that where all her clothes and her other belongings were disposed of. There is a possibility that he had burnt off the clothes, the jewelry he had, so he sold it off. But they're yet to know the psyche of this man. He will also be put through a counselor to know more details and what was conspiring into his mind when he took this brutal step. Because in his confession he has said that he killed Shraddha only in fit of rage when one such argument over her pestering him to get married, because that was the reason why she had eloped with him and she had told her parents that she wants to be in a live-in relationship with this man. But this, as far as the police are concerned, comes across as a weaker theory to them, because only this being the reason that the woman wants to get married to this man, and he first strangles her, and even then he does not inform her family members or the police, or doesn't go to the police, but chops her body into 35 odd pieces and buys the saw. He bought a refrigerator to store the body, to wrap up these these body parts into plastic bags and then store them into a refrigerator to freeze them off, so that when he goes to throw them off, he can throw them at a far off distances, like usually people throw stones. So that was the modus operandi he resorted to. Also, a lot of bleeding that took place when he was chopping off the body. He bought a bleach online to wash off the floor, so that when police teams, if this case comes to the police's knowledge and police team comes to his house, they do not find any blood samples or any evidences that that can put him into this entire case and bring him out as a perpetrator to the murder. So this was also well thought, and that is why police think that he had well planned this murder in advance, buying a saw, buying a refrigerator, ordering bleach online, and then shifting to this location just less than 1 month before the murder takes place. This comes across as a well planned thing, and police are also trying to establish this man's criminal antecedents and to find out all those people he was in touch with, all those women he invited to his house when the body was still lying in the refrigerator. What would they say about him? What would the common friends of the couple would say about him, about his psyche and about his mental state?
Okay, so Anvit, if I could just check with you, the breaking news that we just shared with our audience is that 10 odd human remain pieces had already been found. Were those found by forensic experts based on what Anvit had to say? Based on what Aaftab had to say. But did Aaftab not go with police then? Is this the first time Aaftab is going with police to the forest?
No, see, police have brought him earlier here, and these 10 body parts that police have recovered were on basis of what Aaftab told them, because this is a large area, as I mentioned. It will be very difficult for police to go on and search every inch, because when the body parts were chopped into 5 to 6 inches pieces, the bones that will remain will also be very small, and over the period, mostly these parts of flesh have decomposed beyond recognition, and only bones have been left. So police are also saying that the body parts that have been recovered, they are very small, and they also need to be forensically examined. Other than that, you can see this area, how large this area is, and these 10 body parts that they have recovered are whether or not are they human remains or remains of some animals or who die in this jungle area and then decompose. So that will also need to be established. Once that is done, the DNA profiling and forensic examination will be done. Her father's sample have already been taken. Both the samples will be matched to find out if these human remains are of this man's daughter or not. So these details are yet to come to the police, but right now extensive search is going on for other remains. As we know, if all these parts of that have been recovered, all the 10 bodily remains, if they are of Shraddha, then at least 25 more parts are yet to be recovered, including the head. This jungle also has some swampy areas and some ponds, so police will also try to look into the water bodies, whether he had there's a possibility that he could have tied these body parts to stones and thrown them into the water body, so that they go deep down the water and they decompose quicker than on land. So that step might have also been taken by this man, who appears to be a well planned murderer in this case.
Okay, Anvit, just tell us realistically, what percentage, say, of the body parts are police actually hoping to recover? Just because I know that the Chhatarpur area does have wild animals too. The body parts have been there for a few months now. So realistically, what is the police's expectation here?
See, they have. We spoke to a senior official in the morning, and he said that 10 body parts have been recovered, and because these parts have been recovered in a poor condition, and these were beyond recognition because it's been more than 6 months. So the police are not very much hopeful. But since this is the crime spot, this entire jungle is the area where the body parts were disposed of. They are making an effort to be able to find more and more parts, and particularly the head that was disposed of. So that will ascertain this woman's identity, and that is why the head is important. Mostly the body parts that have now been recovered, police suspect that they are of the lower body, below torso, and they are yet to find some major parts that suggest that yes, these are human remains. Also, like you rightly mentioned, it's been more than 6 months. Body flesh usually decomposes. As when we spoke to experts, they told us that 6 months is the period in which flesh usually decomposes when it has been laced with some chemicals. And because this man had ordered bleach, police will also try to find out whether he ordered some other chemicals that he could have used to decompose this body as quickly as possible. So on all those aspects, police are tapping all those possibilities, and you can see a heavy deployment of police has been done in this area because of the media contingent that has followed the case, also because this has now become a high profile case. This man, as we know, previously has worked as a chef. He was a food blogger. He was very active on social media. This woman also, she previously worked with a private company, and then before that in a call center in Delhi. Also, she had joined a workplace. Both of them stayed in South Delhi, and then this murder takes place in May, and the woman goes on missing for more than 6 months before her missing comes to fore and comes to the knowledge of police. So police are leaving no stone unturned as far as the investigation is concerned. And we spoke to some senior officials. They also said that over the next maybe 1 week, they'll be trying to find more and more evidence and collect as many pieces of the body as they manage to put together.
Okay. All right. Anvit, just stay with us. We're going to go over now to our colleague Anshul. Anshul has been present outside the Chhatarpur house where the couple stayed for 3 days, and then Aaftab proceeded to stay for another 6 months after he killed Shraddha. Anshul, I believe you're standing at the doorway of the apartment. Do bring us a report.
So yes, I'm standing right outside the flat of Shraddha. If I just try and move out of the frame and try and show you in the visuals over here, there are these boxes that are kept outside. Now these are the boxes in which that fridge came, that fridge that he ordered to store the body of Shraddha. And even if you see inside the house, inside their house, the house is very, very minimalistic, and it doesn't seem that a woman would also be living in this house before, because if you see that the entire house is very, very minimalistic, and the kind of shoes and the kind of clothes that are being kept over here definitely belong to a man, and hence that is the reason why even the neighbors had also absolutely no idea that someone like a Shraddha could also be living over here, because in the very initial days of them shifting over here, she was killed and then kept in a fridge for almost 18 days. So yes, the neighbors are absolutely also as shocked. And if you see the area in which this house is, the houses are very closely connected to each other, and it gets very difficult for anyone to not know what is happening right on the next door, because if you see the flat, the kind of flat in which we are standing, on each floor there is just one flat. So it is also a very small flat, and very congested staircases that have been put in place over here. So yes, the police is also the main reason that we are trying to find out is that how did he manage to carry out such a heinous crime in such a small flat in such congested areas, and that is the biggest question that needs to be answered right now. What we are also being told that it is very likely that the accused Aaftab would also be brought to his house by the police to collect more forensic evidence and to recreate the scene as to how did he manage to actually cut her into 35 pieces with a saw, is what we are being told. You can imagine that he had trained to be as a chef, so he had that butchering skills, he had that butchering idea. But yes, when you butcher it with a butcher's knife, it is actually easier to cut those joints off, to cut those flesh off. But yes, he did not choose to use that knife, and he used a saw. So this also tells a lot about his mentality, and also the points at which he cut Shraddha. He made sure that there is not much bleeding, because it gets very difficult to clean those stains of bleeding, and that is the reason why he knew that what was his plan of action and how he's going to take this forward. So yes, the police is also taking his entire confession with a pinch of salt, because since he had planned in such a professional manner how to cut Shraddha, then he might have also planned how to elope from the police as well, and how to mislead the police at this point in time. So yes, the police is also making sure that they take his entire confession with a pinch of salt, and hence they are taking him to each and every location, so that whatever he is saying, that could be corroborated with the police officials as well. So yes, in the next few hours we are expecting that Aaftab might be brought to his house as well, Toya.
Okay, Anshul, stay with us. Very quickly, I want to walk our audiences through details that we do know. We've summarized it for you very quickly. Remember the timeline over here. This murder took place in mid-May. We are now discovering this in October, 6 months later. What took place in those 6 months? First, we know that Aaftab was active on the dating app Bumble right in the days that followed the murder itself. By some accounts, he brought home a woman with him that he'd actually met on the app. She was a psychologist. She brought him home while the body was still in the fridge. Now, after that, in the days after, Aaftab proceeded to get a job. He proceeded to leave his house as anyone regularly would. He would have food delivery people come and deliver right to his house spot. And when it comes to the murder itself, though, some more details. As we've told you already, first the body was cut into 35 small pieces. We know that to do that, he actually purchased a saw from a butcher shop. After that, he bought, as we've just told you, a refrigerator to actually store the body in. And before that, he put each body part separately in polythene bags. Only then did he put it, as we've just told you, in the forest in the Mehrauli area. He'd go out there every day at 2 a.m. and dispose of a certain number over the course of 18 days. Now, as we've told you already, few bones have been recovered till now, but it is important to keep in note that 10 parts of the 35 parts have been recovered. Remember that 35 number, that's a detail that's coming from Aaftab himself. Police are currently hesitant to confirm Aaftab's entire version. They're waiting to first check whether or not these body parts that they've found are actually Shraddha's or not. As we've told you, Shraddha's father's samples have been taken for DNA proofing, just to make sure that those body parts are A, human, and then B, whether or not they actually belong to Shraddha. Now, we're going to go back to Anvit. Let's check in with him. The police have been there now for about an hour with Aaftab. They're on the ground, taking Aaftab wherever it is that Aaftab wants to be taken. They're asking Aaftab where it is that he disposed of the pieces. As we've told you already, around 10 have been discovered of 35. It means the police are still looking for around 25 pieces. Let's go over to Anvit right now to understand where the investigation stands. Anvit, over to you.
See, as far as the investigation is concerned, police have this man's confession. They have recovered the saw that was used to chop the body into pieces. They have the CDR of the person, the call detail records, and they also have questioned some of their common friends to find out how cordial was their relationship. And because earlier it has been reported that this woman had told her friends and family that this man used to physically assault her. However, this has still not surfaced that whether she had given any formal complaint regarding this man's behavior towards her, or she had alerted local police officers about his behavior. So these details are yet to come, but so far whatever police has, they are trying to build a strong case, because the confession alone will not stand in the court of law, and they are trying to collect as much scientific evidence as they can to corroborate it with his confession, and then charge sheet the case in a manner that it leads to a fair trial. Also, the family members of this woman, as far as the line of questioning, they have been questioned. Police have also summoned the landlord, trying to find out whether this person had hid the presence of Shraddha in the house, or did he mention in the contract that he will be staying here with Shraddha, and whether or not a contract was done in the first place. So all these details will also be found, because that will suggest that whether he had planned in advance to move to Delhi and then kill Shraddha, or was it really in a fit of it like he had been confessing to the police. Further, as far as chopping of the body is concerned, the bleach that had been ordered to clean off the area and the body before disposing them off and into pieces and wrapping up into plastic bags and freezing them into a refrigerator, it will be checked what app did he use to order the bleach. The shop from where he had bought the refrigerator and the saw, those shopkeepers have also been summoned for a statement. Other than and that all these women who visited this man at the time when the dismembered body of Shraddha lied in the refrigerator, they will also be tracked, and police will try to find out who were these women who were unaware that that in one room where they're making love to this man, in the other room there's a refrigerator in which dismembered body of this man's previous live-in partner is lying there. So all these chilling details police are looking into, and as far as investigation is concerned, these are the details that the police have as of now. Further, what they're looking up to is to find out where all did he, keep the bodies, where all did he dispose of the body parts, and how did he manage to decompose them, whether he had used some chemical, whether or not he had someone's assistance in this, because so far only this man's role has come to fore. Police are also looking into that, is there a larger picture into this, because this man had been having relationships with other women also. So was this his modus operandi? Can there be more victims to this man, or this is the only case that has come to fore, and this is it, and she is the only victim, and this is only a love relationship that had gone sour. So police is trying to look beyond obvious in this case, and they're trying to find out whether there are more people, or he is the only person who's the only perpetrator in this case. Can there be more victims? All these are the questions that he'll be questioned on in the next 4 days as his remand continues.
Okay, Anvit, I want us to be very specific here. If you could just bring us more details. I know that police have confirmed, A, that after committing the murder, Aaftab did have Bumble on his phone in the months after. That's point one. Point two, they've also confirmed that he did bring a woman home on a date. I believe, according to some reports, that woman was a psychologist. But when multiple accounts point to the fact that there were multiple women who were possibly coming over, that he was talking to multiple women in romantic ways, are those details we can confirm yet?
See, Toya, we broke these details last night also on CNN News 18 that this man had been active on Bumble, and many women visited this house at the time during the period of 18 days when the body had been lying into the refrigerator, and when he disposed of these pieces one by one. Not just one, but multiple women visited, and he made love to multiple women at the same time when Shraddha's body was lying in the refrigerator. So these are the details we had got from senior police officials who are privy to this probe, to this investigation. And they had told CNN News 18 that this is confirmed that he was active on Bumble, on a dating app. In fact, during his confession, even though he has also alleged against Shraddha that she was also using the same app to meet other men, but the crime, the turn of events that has taken place here puts the focus, the onus on this man, because he had gone on to murder his living partner in a such brutal way that she was chopped off into 35 pieces, wrapped into plastic bags, stashed into a refrigerator, and then disposed of in this jungle area. So as far as investigation is concerned, and as far as this women coming to his house is concerned, police are saying that they are trying to find out who these women were who had visited. Some CCTV footages have also been gathered, neighbors have been questioned, call detail records have been taken, because he must have texted them, must have been in touch with them for a few weeks at least, if not months, before they visited his house. So chats will also be obtained from WhatsApp and other messaging apps, Telegram and WhatsApp, and his phone has been confiscated, which also has been sent for forensic examination to find out what chats did he have with those women, and if at all, if we talk in this manner, that whether any of these women or any of the persons who visited him during that period also colluded with him in this entire conspiracy.
Okay, Anvit, I also want to ask you more details here about the 6 months after. I believe that police have said that Aaftab continued to pay his former partner's credit card bills. He also messaged his partner's friends so that their suspicions didn't arise from Shraddha's social media accounts. What can you confirm there?
See, there is a possibility that he was trying to pose as that Shraddha is still alive and active somewhere, because he had told police in his confession that after one odd fight, Shraddha just left the house and went somewhere. He doesn't know her location. So he might have done that just to make it look like that she is still aware and active somewhere. But because it had been over 2.5 months that her family and friends could not contact her. So in September it was that for the first time suspicion was raised that Shraddha has gone missing. She was not active on social media. He was not taking calls of her family and friends. So that was the reason why this entire case came to light. And then her father, Vikas, he gave a police complaint in Manikpur police station in Maharashtra. And then that when her location was tracked, it was found that last location was active in Chhatarpur. Then South District Police in Delhi was contacted and they tried to track Aaftab, and then when he was detained, in his questioning he confessed that yes, he had killed Shraddha. Police are saying that he had easily confessed
Okay, Anvit,
it
just stay with
because
us. Anvit, we have breaking news coming in this story. All right, in this same case, I believe more details are emerging. Shraddha's father, I believe, has said that he suspects a possible quote-unquote love jihad angle. He is continuing to demand the death penalty for his daughter's alleged murderer. Now, my colleague Siddhant is with us right now. We're going to go over to him for more details. Siddhant, I obviously want us to be very careful because of the sensitive nature of the story. I want to understand from you, we know already that both of the families, Aaftab's and Shraddha's, were not open to the religious nature of this case, in which obviously Aaftab here is a Muslim. So we know that they were not open to this already. When her father is saying that there was possible love jihad involved, exactly what does he mean?
Well, look, in criminal investigation, there are multiple opinions. Whenever such case happens, there are multiple opinions. In fact, people on the right side of the spectrum, political spectrum, have been demanding the investigating agencies to look into this very case through love jihad angle. But this time around, this one statement that has been given by the father of the deceased girl to the news agency brings twist into the entire story. Because if father demands and if father alleges love jihad angle, then the investigating agency has to and in fact should probe the entire matter with this angle as well.
Siddhant, just to clarify from you here though, when the father is saying love jihad angle, is the father implying that by Aaftab moving in with Shraddha, Aaftab actually planned to convert Shraddha to his religion? Is that what the father's implication is here?
Well, absolutely. That must be what father is trying to say. And in fact, look, the family is not ready to speak to media. They're not comfortable speaking to media and tell the entire story. A journalist from this news agency has managed to speak to the father, and this one quote has come out where father is alleging that there is a possibility of love jihad angle. As I say, that the people on the right side of the political spectrum have been demanding it. But now, since the father has alleged, and the father has demanded, and the way Shraddha was missing, and the initial missing complaint was lodged, and then later the complaint was forwarded to Delhi police, and for 6 months the family was not aware about. And in the way this has happened, it's something which needs to be probed with this one angle, and this is now the demand of a family. So this has got a new twist to this entire entire story. And in fact, police is also looking into the social media angle. And in fact, there are multiple research that have been made by some senior journalists, and in fact, some of the departments that comes under the government of India, which highlights that how in the adolescent age, the youngsters from one religion lure the girls
sure, but
of the
one
other
second,
religion.
Siddhant, I do want to understand over here in this case in particular, when it comes to any kind of corroboration, do we have either her friends that may have supported this allegation that the father is making?
Well, that is something which Delhi.
Okay, all right. We have to move on very quickly. We have more breaking news coming in of a different nature. The G20 is going on as we speak. Leaders of 19 of the world's most important economic countries, obviously the 20th is the EU, are all meeting as we speak in Bali. The Prime Minister is there, and the visual we're showing you right now is of the Prime Minister speaking to the new UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. They're in conversation on the first day of the G20 summit in Bali. Let's go very quickly to my colleague Abhishek to understand more. Abhishek, for our audiences, it's easy to understand why this news is exciting. Indian origin Rishi Sunak's making it to Prime Minister just a few weeks ago itself was something that was widely celebrated across the subcontinent. Tell us, this particular meeting, is it in an official capacity? Is this an informal photo?
Currently, Prime Minister is participating.
All right, we'll try to re-establish that connection. Abhishek is actually joining us from Bali, which is why we're not being able to establish a strong connection with him as we speak. We'll try to re-establish that. Okay, Abhishek, could you restart? You were just answering us. Are they meeting in an official capacity? Are they meeting in the sidelines? Could you bring us more details?
The second session is going to start very soon, where all the G20 leaders are going to discuss about the upcoming issues that the world is facing. And before that meeting starts formally, there were actually moments where leaders were chatting with each other very casually. We also saw Prime Minister Modi having greetings with UK's new Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. We also saw Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia. He's greetings. Turkish President Erdogan. Then we also saw pictures of Japanese Prime Minister talking with Canadian Prime Minister and the German Chancellor Scholz. The kind of atmosphere right now, just before the start of the meeting, is that all the leaders are trying to greet each other and create a kind of friendship and informal relationship. Because at the end of the day, the personality of two leaders do matter when we talk about bilateral relationship between the two countries or multilateral institutions or multilateral organizations, and their successes depend a lot on the kind of aura or the kind of personality leaders exhibit at such important events. And clearly, when Prime Minister Modi is meeting Rishi Sunak, there must have been a lot of talk about how Rishi Sunak has been, he always boasts about his religion of Hindu, his being from India, and now he's the son-in-law of one of India's pioneering of IT sector, Murthy. So clearly, there's a lot of connection, but very strong connection with India, and will that actually also transpire to help boost India-UK bilateral ties also in the days to come? That we'll have to see, because India is also awaiting a visit from the UK's Prime Minister, and when that visit will be happening, that remains a key question.
Okay. All right. Abhishek, thank you for those details. We are going to go into a very quick break. On the other side, in just a few minutes, we continue to track all of these stories.